Hey guys, and welcome to the J&K Show. This is your Friday edition. We are going to cover all of the football predictions for this weekend, the NFL playoffs, divisional round, and the national championship. We will be covering all of those. We'll start first with the Bills at Broncos. Now, I've been on the Broncos' ass all year. I don't like them. I think they're frauds, but
Gonna hate her.
they're a pretty damn good fraud, right? They're the number one seed in the AFC. So I've been hating on them. It feels like they just kind of took the Chiefs' spot in the hate world. It's just like a baton passing of hate. Um, I think that the week off will do them bad. So I'm going to take the Bills on this one. Josh Allen is Superman. He's got a great wife. He's got a baby now. He's just got it going. I think this might be his year to make it to the Super Bowl. I'm going to take the Bills because I think their offense they're just going to score enough points. And I know I've said that against the Broncos before, and they've just annihilated on defense. I do have some worries about the Bills' defense, but I just don't think the Broncos' offense is all that good. I think they're middle of the league. So I just like the Bills to whoever has the ball last. I like the Bills to make the drive to win the game. And what we saw in the wild card last weekend, whoever had the ball last, sometimes it worked out, other times it didn't. It's like whoever had the ball last within a minute, then if you gave the other team less than that, they were kind of screwed. And that's what it kind of went. So I think whoever has the ball last will win. I'm going to take the Bills. I'm going to take 28-24 Bills.
Yeah, that's actually surprising. I thought you were going to go Broncos on this one, so I was like, all right, we'll have something different maybe. No, yeah, I'm I don't I have respect for Denver. I have respect for Sean Payton as a coach. They're number one seed for a reason. I mean, they ever since they lost to us week 2. They've been a terror, and they have just they've been down massively. They've been in tight games, and seems like they've won them all. So they're there for a reason. But I do agree with you. I think that the one seed bye is kind of going to be a curse in a way. We've seen it, in the CFP outside of the Hoosiers. The bye week has been a curse for everyone. So you kind of you got to make sure that you're a hell of a motivator if you're going to get that bye week to get your players ready. But I do agree. I think it's going to be kind of a lullish game early, probably the first half and into maybe the third quarter a little bit. I think maybe Buffalo has a touchdown or a 10-point lead going into the fourth, and Denver finds a way to kind of get it close again, maybe tie it, maybe take a field goal lead or something. But I do agree with you. I think Josh Allen is going to make that play, whether it's throwing it or with his legs, and they showed last week, him and Brandon Cooks have something going on together. I mean, Brandon Cooks made a couple big catches, so I think he's starting to gel into that offense right now. So they may not still have a pure one receiver, but the receivers they have are good in that system. And as long as they have, their tight ends are doing good, James Cook's running the ball, if they can just run against that defense, I think that will be the reason that they win. And I think it'll be maybe a little bit lower score, maybe a 23-21 kind of game where it's just blow for blow in the second half. The first half it could be 10-3, 10-7, something like that. And then Denver finds a way to kind of pull it back, reel it back in, and make it close. Buffalo is my Super Bowl pick this year, so I have to pick them to beat Denver. So the elements aren't going to be a thing either, because Buffalo has played in some torrential stuff this year. And that's not going to be a problem. That's not going to be an advantage. But I do look for Buffalo to come out and take this one.
Yeah, I just think the experience factor amongst the quarterbacks is going to weigh heavy in this game. Bo
Yeah,
Nix versus Josh Allen. It's just how many times Josh Allen has been in this situation. Like, I just have a
yeah,
lot of faith in him to make
yeah,
enough plays to pull it out. Um,
yeah.
I
And
just,
it is kind of a revenge game from last year because Denver got beat in Buffalo and the Brown won last year. So
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. Here on the J and K show, I'm actually going to change my score. There was another score that popped in my head before you said yours, and I think that's the one.
uh
I'm going to say 2017 Bills.
2017.
I think I
Yeah.
went too high. When you were about to say a score, that was the score I popped in my head. So I think that's the one I want now. So I'm going
Yeah,
2017.
when I go conservative, it makes you kind of like, well, what did I do wrong?
Whoa. So I went even more conservative than you. Just thought,
Yeah, yeah, because usually I'm the picking the high score blowout games, and then it turns out I'm an idiot.
there's too much defense from Denver. 28 seems too high. So I have to agree
Yeah,
with that.
yeah, and it's not that I don't think Denver can win. I think they absolutely could. They're a damn good team. That defense will take them wherever they want to go, but they could. But I think they're going to be on the field a lot, and they're going to be using a lot of gas in that first half. Offense is just going to be out of sync. I think, and that's that. It's not. We're not. We're not sitting here saying that we can predict the future or anything like that. That's just what I
Well, I
personally
did
think.
go 6-0 last week.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to be a little bit more reasonable so I can catch. I'm one game back.
Yeah. Also, I don't think either team will run the ball in a way that's like impressive. I just think it's going to come down to the quarterbacks the most. I have
Yeah,
some concerns with Buffalo's defense. I could see them stinking it up. I could see
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And this could, I'll tell you what, either the Bills are going to win it in a close one or the Broncos are going to walk them. That would be my second choice. If I was told, listen, your first choice, Kevin, it's going to be wrong. What's your second choice? I'd be like 35-17 Broncos.
Yeah. Ew.
Yeah, that would be my
That's
second
gross.
choice
That's gross.
because I do have a fear of Denver's defense and Buffalo's inadequacy on defense, and I'm like that could be a problem. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'll
But
be careful with
I
my
did.
bet.
No, I'm doing the same damn thing. I did. I just did. I did like the way the Buffalo made the plays that they needed to in a hostile environment. On the road against a probably a good at least top 8-10 defense that Jacksonville has. So I mean they looked better than I've seen them look in crunch times this season. So I'm not worried about them not being ready. I think they're going to play a little bit better. The defense might tighten up pretty good too.
I'm a big believer of like learning through failure. And I honestly think with the Broncos this year, they didn't really fail. They beat
Hmm.
the Eagles and they beat the Chiefs, and like I look at their scenarios and I'm like, where do I look at their game and go, wow, they really learned from it? And so it's like besides the Chargers and Colts early with
Yeah.
back to back losing games to field goals, there was
Hmm.
never really another moment in the whole season because that was early. There's never really a moment where you're just like, man, the Broncos persevered. It's like, yeah, they came back against the Giants. Well, it's the
Yeah.
Giants, and I'm like,
Yeah.
as impressive as they were, they never had another failure where they really needed to get collected and kind of respond back. In my feeling. So for Buffalo, it's like Buffalo's went through it this year. They've had a lot of up and
Oh
down
yeah.
roller coasters. I just think that they're more mentally prepared for this moment. Whereas Denver's had some time to think about it. And sometimes when it's like ice in the kicker. It could spell disaster, like you said. The CFP bye weeks they're 1-7 in CFP, so it's a big deal. It matters in a sport where in college football people always have said, well, the top are just so much better than everyone else, and it's like, but when you give them a week off, they're human. Like, so you got to kind of reel it in a little bit. And I like Buffalo, but we'll see. We will see.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah. Well, and the people that are probably going to be listening or watching are going to be like, well, Denver's adversity has all been in game. and they've done really good about making in-game adjustments and coming back being down multiple scores. So they do have the ability to do so, but you're right, they haven't come off of a bad loss and then had to come back and game plan the next week and then fix the mistakes that were made the week before. It's always been a game by game basis, and they've done really well.
Yeah. I mean, Denver, they haven't had to look in the mirror since September, you know? Like they
Yeah.
don't even know what their hair looks like or what their shirt they got on today. Like their collar might be all messed up and they don't even know what they look
Mm,
like. They might be mangled. They don't know.
yeah. Yeah. Maybe Sean Payton took all the mirrors out of the park, Who knows?
Maybe. Moving on to the next game, which is going to be a division battle for the third time. The 49ers at Seattle. I've gone back and forth on this game. And, I like both defenses. Seattle, I like better. I like the receiving cores for both teams. Honestly, 49ers, I like them better than people might think. I think they're very scheme oriented, kind of like a Patriots. They just really fit good.
Yeah.
The George Kittle going down hurts me a little bit, but they do have endless tight ends, kind of like Seattle. There's a lot of similarities here. The one thing I don't like as much is I don't know if I trust Seattle to run the ball. So then I'm like, well, if I'm Stevens on this now, that I'm giving the edge to the 49ers at running back, then I'm giving defense edge to Seattle, then I've got to go to the quarterback and like the coaching. And I'm going to have to take Shanahan and coaching.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to take Purdy over Darnold. So give me the 49ers in an upset. And I just don't know. I think when Darnold gets a little bit rushed, he's more likely to make mistakes. Purdy's mistakes, it's like within rhythm. It's like it just didn't happen kind of plays, where it's Darnold's like kind of just and he just kind of lets one go and it gets out of his hand and goes somewhere bad. I like Purdy and how he's played and since he came back, and I know he had 2 picks last week. I don't know, something 49ers, their perseverance is impressive. I'm going 49ers 27-21.
Ouch. Well, at least you gave me a game to catch up on. Uh, yeah, I do agree with you for the most part on that. Going back to the week off and everything, I think when you look at your team, is the week off beneficial for an offense or is it beneficial for a defense? You know what I mean? So an offense, a bye week, if your offense is really the better part of your team, then it's going to hurt a little bit more, I think, offensively than it is defensively. And you could say this, and I could go back and say the same thing about Denver. Their defense is definitely better than their offense is, as far as statistical, rankings, whatever. I just think that they're going to be on the field a lot, and they're going to be tired in the second half, and they're not going to be able to stay caught up. And Josh Allen's going to break a couple runs or stuff like that. But when I look at Seattle, I think that defense is so good, and that especially that front four. If you're in the playoffs and you can get home with your front four, maybe in one extra person, that gives you 6 people in coverage. And if San Francisco is going up against 6 people in coverage every time they drop back, it's going to be hard, especially to try to keep that front four pass rush off of Brock Purdy. So, and Kittle is definitely a vital part of that offense. But with all the games he's missed this year, and Tonjes has stepped up, and Tonjes has actually become like a really good, solid 2 at tight end, and he could probably start on half the other teams just the way he's been producing. But I just think Seattle's got so much more going for them. I actually think they will probably run the ball better against San Francisco than they have all year. They won't depend so much on Darnold in the offense, but anytime you got Njigba, he's going to be hard to cover. And I just think Seattle's going to do just enough to win. It's going to be one of those butthole type games where it's whoever, the haymaker after haymaker, and then there's going to be a stop after stop. These guys are going to match up with each other so well. And you look at the game that they played week 1 in Seattle, it was a last possession game too. They hit Darnold. I mean, they were about to score. I mean, they were driving. And then they get through, they hit Darnold. I think it was Bosa before he got hurt. Hit Darnold as he was throwing interception or a fumble or something. I think either way, it was a turnover. And I think that's been in their heads ever since then. It's like if we get these guys again at home, just somehow, some way, it's going to be a different story. So I think they're going to pull kind of the same game plan that they did in the last game of the season. They just went down to San Francisco and just dominated them. They couldn't do anything on offense. So I think they figured something out. And while I do trust Shanahan to game plan and to adjust, but I just don't think that they'll be able to do enough. I think Seattle pulls it out. This will probably be another mid-20s, like a 24-20, like something like that. Not anything massively scoring or anything like that, but I think it'll be close. So I'm going to say Seattle 24-20.
I feel like you just described a scenario where, the score you were describing was more like a Seattle 28-3 over the 49ers.
No. I mean, they'll
describing it as a blowout in a way.
No, I don't think it'll be a blowout. I mean, you're not going to stop San Francisco from scoring points. They're just that good, But I just think that they'll make the plays when they need to. And I think Brock Purdy will have a couple turnovers. McCaffrey will probably have a score or two. They're going to put points on the board, but I think that it'll be probably like a 24-13 late in the fourth, and San Francisco's just driving to drive, basically, to do what they can to save their season, and then they get a touchdown with like 14-20 seconds left, and then they have to onside kick it, something like that. So I just don't see it. I just don't see it being relatively close the entire game, but they kind of find a way to make it interesting late, but I don't know, it'll be too late at that point.
Really, these first two matchups, they are really very similar as far as how it's set up. I mean, the both number one teams on each side are very defensively stout, and you would say that their offense isn't as good as their defense. So I find it hard to decide, like, my thinking. It's like, well, how can I have this thinking and pick Bills over Broncos and not also have the same thinking and pick 49ers over Seahawks? I feel like a little bit of your statement is a little inconsistent from your first statement.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the defense travels and things like that, but you didn't want to pick the Broncos over Buffalo. Would you be willing to admit that you might just be picking Buffalo out of Super Bowl pick, and this is actually a bad matchup for Buffalo? Or
no, and like
they got Denver. That's kind of a bad matchup for them.
No, I think that's going to be the difference. Is Denver's defense is going to be on the field a lot, and I don't think Seattle's defense is going to be on the field a lot.
Like, why?
I think they're going to stop them basically in the first half will probably be Seattle dominant. That's the way I see it going. They'll get out ahead of like maybe like a 14 or 17 to 10 at halftime, something like that, where it's still kind of close, but they're not out of it yet. But Seattle is just multiple 3-and-outs, very like 7 or 8 plays or less, where they're not killing themselves out there.
why
But
can't Denver do that then? I guess would be my question. Why do we
I'm
see
not saying they
Denver?
can't.
Why do we see Denver maybe not doing a lot of 3-and-outs, staying off the field? Like, what is the deciding thing in difference between those two
And
things?
I'm not saying that they can't do that in the first half. You know what I mean? Because everybody's going to be fresh in the first half. So, but that's how, kind of how games go. Is your defense could be on the field for 45 plays in the first half, which is a lot, and still not give up more than 3 or 10 points. We've seen it a bunch, and I'm not saying, Josh Allen's going to get a touchdown on every single drive. I just think that Denver's going to be, their offense is not going to be clicking in that first half. And it may take them a half to get with it and actually start to get drives together and get their stuff figured out and then get into sync. But, the defense is going to be really, really tired when it comes to the fourth quarter. And then that's when the run game can start to take advantage of their exhaustion. And they'll start missing tackles or letting the receivers or tight ends get behind them, things like that. And that's just when you play so many plays, you do get worn out. And we've seen it how many times with our team here, where the defense will play amazing, but once they get into the late third, early fourth quarter, they can't stay with everything, and they let big play after big play after big play. They start to pile up there, and then you feel your drive kind of like, shit, we're not going to be able to stop them.
I kind of thought that maybe your answer to the question of what makes those situations different is, I thought you were just going to say Josh Allen. That's what I thought you were going to say, because I think maybe the reason you don't feel as good about the 49ers as far as the Bills, as far as one of them is going to upset. First, you got the probability of, like, what are the probability both number ones get beat? You're thinking, well, maybe I should lean towards choosing one and not the other. And then you got the factor of, like, who's at quarterback. The 49ers have Purdy against Seattle, and then Josh Allen versus the Broncos. So I was just thought you were going to say is, like, look, at the end of the day, Josh Allen is good enough to get this difficult thing done, and maybe you just don't have the same amount of faith in the 49ers, since they both have what I would call a pretty tall task.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's they got a hell of a mountain to climb. Both teams do, no matter what, no matter how you look at it. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, this is what is going to happen for sure. Okay, I've been wrong. I'm not so far up my own ass that I'm like, yeah, there's absolutely every chance. There is every chance Denver blows Buffalo out of the water. There's a chance that happens. There's a chance San Francisco goes up and dominates Seattle. There's always going to be that chance. But if you ask me what I personally think and how I see things going, just given the way that things have gone this year and in years past, you've seen it happen before. We've been victims of it numerous times where we've been the number 1 seed or the 2 seed and gotten a bye. And then whoever wins in the wild card round comes up and just smacks our asses. And I don't think that that's going to happen every time, but I just think, in my personal experience, Denver's still a very young team. They're still a very young team. And while San Francisco has been, basically breaking down every barrier that's been put in their way this year, they've overcome so much shit, which you have to give them kudos for. I just think when you're in the divisional round and you're in Seattle, the hardest place to play, in my opinion, then you're gonna be in a little bit more trouble. I don't see a problem, with Buffalo going to Denver and being in the cold weather there, because Buffalo's a cold weather team too. Now, you could say the elevation could be a factor, and it could, but it could be a factor for both teams as well. It just depends on, how long one group of guys is on the field, over the other. And that's what I personally think. Now, Buffalo could wear down too, but I just think that Denver's going to, like I said, there's going to be probably a good amount of 3-and-outs or turnovers or this or that can happen that will probably take some of their gas away. And then, what they always do every game, it seems, in that middle of the second half, they kind of find a switch and they turn it back on. But I just think, and you may be right to an extent, Josh Allen might be the difference. I do trust Josh Allen a little bit more than I do Brock Purdy, but I just think the scenarios are going to be just a little bit different, and I just that's why I'm picking the way I am.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll move on. So, like the Saturday games are like the David versus Goliath kind of, and then the Sunday games are just like the more pick-a-me type games, right? So on Sunday you got the Texans at the Patriots. I feel a little indifferent. I think these teams are actually very similar. Great defenses. I don't expect a high scoring game. I really don't. I think it's going to be sloppy. I think it's going to be hard hitting. I think that both teams will have several 3-and-outs for the game. I feel like the Pats can run the ball better. And I don't know if CJ Stroud will get it done in a crunch moment situation, and I kind of just think that maybe Drake May will. I don't know. I'm going to have to probably say Patriots 17-14. That's what. Now, you know what? 17-13, because I bet Houston can only get one touchdown. So let's go 17-13.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. These guys are basically the same team. But I think New England's offense is much better than Houston's, and that's where I would draw the line here. I trust New England's offense to score, and I don't necessarily trust Houston's offense to score very much anyway. Now, they could have a couple drives where they get some points here and there, but I didn't leave Monday's game all that impressed with C.J. Stroud and the Houston offense. Their defense scored touchdowns, multiple. So if you get 14 points from your defense, more likely you're going to win the game. So
Houston, but totally different kind of offense that they're going to go shut down too, right?
Because
you got a statuesque 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers, and now you've got this very mobile Drake May. Like, you have to go into a QB contain in this game, and you got to be aware of where Drake May is going to try to roll out or scramble away. I just think that change of what to do and how to deal with it, it's like so different for those guys that it's probably going to just give the Patriots a couple point advantage. Like, that's how I look at it. I don't think there's much difference in those teams, except for maybe Drake May can extend plays. He's very elusive. He's more than people can give him credit for. He's probably going to have 8 carries for 65 yards in this game. Like, it's just the way he does.
Yeah, you got to account for the quarterback, and if you have 11 on 11, those are not good odds. So yeah, Drake May could make some plays with his legs. Also, New England did give up quite a few sacks in the regular season, but that's mainly because he's scrambling around trying to look for a lane to throw through, or spin out of something, and then he just gets caught right behind the line of scrimmage.
Yes.
That comes with it. But yeah, Houston, I think, will find a way to keep it close, and that's all they want to do. They don't want New England to get out to a 21-3 kind of lead or start just unloading on them early. Because Houston, I don't think, is built really for a comeback. Their offense just is not built for it. Now, their offense is built to maybe go blow for blow with you. But if you give them, if as long as you can bottle up, I think, Nico, and kind of keep the running game at about 2 or 3 yards a carry, then that's a good formula to win. And I just think that's what New England can do. They're going to be They're going to be plus, outside, cold ass weather. Could be snowing in New England this weekend, they say. So I trust New England to be able to perform in those elements more than I do Houston. So, and I'm with you. I don't think it's going to be very high scoring. I think New England puts up about 20, 21, and I will give Houston. We'll give Houston 13. So
Okay.
yeah, I think maybe 20-13 touchdown difference.
Okay. I just realized that all of these games are going to be played in bad weather this weekend.
Oh no!
When you said that, and really, I mean, the
Do they got
Bills.
bad
The
weather
Bills.
predicted in Seattle?
Well,
I
I
didn't
mean,
look at
it's
that one
just
yet.
up north and it's cold and crappy all the time. I don't know how people bear to live in Seattle, to be honest, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. Buffalo's the only one that really knows how to deal with it on the road this week. I would say that the Niners, Texans, and Rams are going to have a little bit of a disadvantage dealing with the weather.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could be interesting. I don't think there's a bunch in Seattle, so that's why 49ers upset isn't bad. But yeah, the
Yeah.
Patriots, I mean, I don't think either defense is going to be having a hard time stopping the other team. And honestly, dude, Al Shahir, let's say third quarter, he gets ejected for a hit on Drake May. What do you say? He's that
I
kind of
wouldn't be
guy.
surprised. He
He
is
finds himself in those situations all the time, and then when we rewind it, we go, "Yeah, that was a dirty ass play. It's gonna happen. I
yeah.
mean, one way or another, it's gonna be on the sideline probably, and he's gonna just level him when he's got both feet out of bounds, and just he's gonna get ejected.
Yeah. Yeah, dude plays hard and he has a high motor.
He doesn't know how to shut it off at all.
He's basically a rebirth of Ryan Clark from back in the day, and Ryan Clark was a dirty bastard when he was on the field. He would just launch himself headfirst into everybody. And then he goes around now saying, "Well, they changed the rules because of me." Yeah, because you're a dirty piece of shit.
He plays with concussions himself, and it shows.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
shows every day he talks.
Yeah, but that
And
wouldn't surprise me, if, Alshire does something like that and, finds a way to get himself taken out of the game, which will hurt Houston big time because whether you think he's a dirty guy or not, he is smart. He's smart on the field. Now he does do some dumb shit, but if I was what he's right around 6'1" ish, 240 pounds, that's hard to stop once you get that into like full speed. It is hard to pull back, but at the same
trains are
time,
coming.
it's a coming. But we have seen that from him before, so that wouldn't surprise me if that happens. But I think D'Amico Ryans will actually have these guys kind of dialed in a little bit better than that. I don't think we're going to see. I don't think we're going to see anything like that, but it's definitely possible. I wouldn't put it past the guy.
Look at it this way: if Drake May is running for first down and he goes to slide, if Alshire had his target in sight, guess what? He's still gonna hit him.
He's still going to hit him. Yeah.
I don't give a
Yeah.
fuck if he slides or not. He's still gonna hit him. 15-yard
Yeah.
penalty, possibly taking May out of the game. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
take our chances. Like he's
Yeah.
still gonna hit him. He can't
Yeah.
hit him.
15-yard penalty and I still play. Drake May gets knocked out of the game, or am I going to get ejected? I think it's worth the risk.
It's worth the risk. I'll see you guys next week.
See you guys next week.
The final game on the Sunday slate will be Rams at Bears. This game was maybe the hardest to pick in a way. 49ers Seahawks was hard for me, but the NFC is obviously it's a little bit more like unsure for me. But Rams and Bears, dude, the weather. I don't know if the Bears have enough defense to stop the Rams, but the way they came back on the Packers and the tenacity they played with in the fourth quarter, I was like, well, shit, maybe they do. Golly, and I've took 2 road teams to beat the number 1 seeds. It's like, am I going to take another road team or not? I like Odunze
Mhm.
being back. The tight ends are doing good for Chicago. Rams have the better defense. Would you agree? They have the better defense. Bryant Young.
Yeah, I think yeah. I mean, you can say that, and I wouldn't be able to really argue with you. But man, the Bears will turn you over in an instant. They are very good about taking the ball away.
I think that the playing at home is out of all these teams, it feels like maybe the Bears are playing with more juice with that home crowd. The
Yeah.
tenacity that Caleb, it seems like Caleb is playing better in front of the crowd as well. Give me the Rams. Give me the Rams. Matt Stafford is the MVP. They have the better defense. I like both teams running attacks. Honestly, these are two of the best tandems in football, to be totally honest. They're both awesome. But the receiving core for the Rams is better, and the defense is better. Give me the Rams. It's going to be an exciting one, though. I'm going to say the weather's going to be crappy, though.
Hmm.
Let's do 23-20 Rams. Nope, 23-17 Rams. Put it in.
I agree. I do like the Rams defense
That's
a
why you
little
were
bit more.
disappointed. You wanted me to go Bears.
I wanted you to go Bears, but I have a game. I can still catch up. I can make it even. I'm good with
Yeah.
that. But and there's a part of me that could pick Chicago, and I would feel okay with it. Um, but I think they're going to come back and be more competitive next year. I think next year will be the Bears' season to come in and make noise all season. Caleb Williams, and I do believe it. Next season, Caleb Williams will be over 4,000 passing yards, and there'll be that guy to solidify himself as the Bears' best quarterback of all time. But
I don't know how
this
certain
year,
I am about that, to be honest, bud.
well, I'm just yeah, just
They're
hey, I have the microphone, okay?
my bad. Let me mute myself real quick.
No, 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 no. But I just think Chicago took a massive step this year, and they have solidified themselves as a competitive team. And to come where they were from where they were last year after that Washington game, they just kind of fell off the earth. But you knew that Eberflus was going to be gone, and they were going to be making a coaching change last year, no matter what. So Ben Johnson comes in this year. He gets this team ready to play. He gets them focused. He works on Caleb's techniques and mechanics, gets him to be, a Pro Bowl caliber player. And I think in Chicago, that's what they've been missing for decades is a Pro Bowl level quarterback to make plays when you need him to. And I think that, he's going to continue to progress and build. So they've made their noise this year. They've won a playoff game. They beat a division rival in the playoffs, and they made their noise at home. But I think this year, when you have the MVP of the league coming in, you have a multiple Super Bowl coach in Sean McVay, not to mention the players that they have. Are you really going to be able to stop Puka and Devontae and Kyron Williams and Blake Corum and Higbee? There's so much.
No, he's not playing. Remember, he got hurt. It's that
He did get, yeah, that's right.
Colby Parkinson.
Parkinson. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Fucking guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Parkinson. He's. I think he's just as good.
Now that Higbee's
So
out, they play like three guys. Like now you can't even.
yeah, and they're all interchangeable, and none of them will go crazy, but they'll have a crucial catch or two.
Yep.
It seems like when you have the MVP dishing out balls, you're going to get found. So I just think Puka, you're going to have to take two guys on him no matter what, and even then he'll still get 8 catches. But I just think that the Rams is going to be too much for them to stop. They may hold them to 20 points or so, but I don't see Chicago scoring more than 20 against the Rams. So I will agree with you. I think it'll be a 27-17. I think the Rams win by 10. Just too much. Just too much. Too much. LA. They're just too good. Like I've said it all year, and I think it's been proven for a majority of the season that the NFC West has been the diamond in the league. So it's only fitting that you have Seattle, San Francisco in the divisional round, and then you have Seattle Rams in the NFC Championship. So I think that's what it will come down to, and I see the Rams beating the Bears 27-17.
You know what's crazy about the NFC is they have one division that was awesome,
Mm-hmm.
and
The rest were meh.
they're all still alive.
They're all still alive. Yeah.
So three of the four teams are from the same freaking division, which means
Yeah.
two divisions are completely out already. They're already out. And
Yeah,
the team
it's
that's
insane.
left to deal with that great division is the Chicago Bears. And what a mind fuck that is. If you'd have told me to start the year, this is what's going to happen. This division's going to be awesome. They're all going to be left, and the
Yeah.
Bears are the only one that stands between them and one of them making the Super Bowl. I'm going to go, You're funny.
Yeah. You're hilarious.
You mean the Lions, right? Like that's what I would have said.
Yeah.
You got the wrong team in that division.
Yeah.
The Bears are playing just confident, like gritty football. Like they're enthusiastic,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to pick them, but something about the bye week of the other teams, their win against the Packers last week, I just think that was a lot. It took a lot out of them.
Yeah.
That fourth quarter miracle. The Rams are just consistently good. And your comment about Caleb Williams, the reason I was trying to cut you off is because you were wrong.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And the reason I was saying that was because the mentality of the Chicago Bears and how they've got here is not for Caleb Williams to go nuts. I think the mentality of Chicago is to play tough physical football, and they try to run the ball, which I think is why they're here. Of course, I believe Caleb Williams will be capable of it. I don't necessarily think that he will do it because the mentality would have to shift a little bit. Like Goff doesn't put a bunch of numbers out there. He'll go nuts with one of his guys like Amon-Ra, and they'll be really great, but consistently he'll turn around the next week, he'll barely get 200 yards and a tutty, and they'll run the ball down someone's throat. I think because of that, it's hard to stat stuff. So for Caleb, he'll be capable of it, but I do not think that it will necessarily happen. But you'll see maturation and growth and more capability in moments. It will still be inconsistent because the mentality of football in Chicago is run the dang ball, which I love because that's why they're here. All these teams, cold weather, run the ball, be physical on defense, like they're here because they're the next group of team that can match with these other ones a little. They're just a little new to the game, like that's why they're here. So in the end, I just think the Rams are going to have a little bit too much talent. But man, I really wouldn't even be that surprised if the Bears pulled out another miracle because the Rams almost lost to Carolina. So I could understand a lot of people saying, fuck it, Chicago's going to win. I get it. But my mind is like, pick the better football team, and I think it's the Rams.
Yeah, it's like, what do your eyes tell you?
Yeah.
And I just think, it's pretty goddamn bold to say that I'm wrong about Caleb Williams when he only missed 4,000 yards by like 60 this year. Yep. He came really, really close to hitting it. And I just think
fourth quarter stuff that maybe it won't work out next year though.
Yeah, but well, maybe it happens. Maybe it happens early enough in games where he doesn't have to. I just think year one under Ben Johnson, if he was able to take the giant leap that he took this year, then I can absolutely see him having multiple 300-yard passing games, and having that offense take that next step. And that there are free agents out there who are like, I want to go to Chicago and be a part of that. So I don't think, maybe their offense looks a little bit different next year. Maybe they bring in some guys, maybe they get rid of some guys or something, I think it would behoove them to maybe make Monangai their number one. But I think if you look at it and you can see with past um, trends that year two is really the leap year. You have year one, there's some learning curves, there's some mistakes that are made, there's things that go right and go wrong. But then year two comes along in that same system. As long as you have more or less the same kind of guys, I just think they can be a lot better next year than they were this year. And I think that next season, if they can build on what they've done this year, and if you take yourself out of it and you just look at it from an outside angle, and if you look at it, say in March or April, look at it and say, God, the Bears had a good fucking year. Who saw them winning, what was it, 12 games? 13 games? 13-4. It's like, wow. Number 2 seed in the NFC, you won a playoff game against the Packers, and then you lose in the divisional round to what may be the eventual Super Bowl winning team with the MVP. I mean, you look at it, and Bears fans are going to be like any other fans and look at it and be like, God damn it, yeah, and they're going to be pissed. But if they're able to step back and say, we actually had a really good year, this may be the first off season that Bears fans are just, they're positive. They're positive about it. And it's like, okay, well, then we have expectations going into the next season, because they know who their coach is going to be. They know who their quarterback's going to be. They have most of their people and the coaching staff and their players. I mean, they're all going to be there. Yeah. And maybe they're a draft pick away. You never know. Their first rounder could be somebody who comes in and makes a difference. They could sign a big free agent. You never know. So yeah. So I think I think next year they're going to be fine.
So it's like, it kind of sounds like almost like an IU type of path where like they get the right guy and everything molds well. The first year everyone's going to say, well, this was a fluke, and then the next year they're even better. I gotta say, I'm gonna be pretty damn surprised. The Bears were 13-4 in the number 2 seed. For you saying it could be even better, so they're gonna go 14-3 as the number 1 next year. Like, I don't see.
No.
There's going to be a drop off, and that don't mean they can win 11 or 12, but they're gonna.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a little bit of a growing pain. They're going to have things that they got to figure out, and I think they'll still be pretty good. Like I said, I don't think they're going to just sling it around. And like, I think what we've seen with the Lions is like at some point down the line with Johnson, they seem like they could just fill it up the stat sheet with 50 points and Amon-Ra's 3 touchdowns. And, and I don't think the Bears are built that way right now. So, and I don't know that they're going to be built that way next year. I don't see the same exact staffing, but I do see a physical team that'll run the ball. So I just don't think they're going to be there yet. I don't know who they would acquire that would change my opinion. I think they're going to get more pass rushers, and that's not going to change my opinion on the offense.
Yeah, but you're mistaking the fact that I say that they may be a better team next year, that the record's going to get better. That's not necessarily true. You can still be a better team than you were the last season and have a couple fewer wins. So they can go 13-4 this year, be a good team, but then go 11-6 next year and actually be a better team and end up being a wild card team and having to go on the road for a couple of games in the playoffs. But they will be tried and tested. Well, maybe a couple things go wrong.
Which one would you rather have for the Bears? It's like,
I would tell you the Bear. I know Bears fans.
Would they rather be the 2 seed and all that, and short of 4,000 passing yards, or Caleb go for 4,800 and they're a 6 seed on the road first round? They're not gonna feel like this year that's as good as the current one like we're on now.
Yeah.
So I look at it in that perspective. Like, if Caleb does better next year, then he'll probably be sacrificing wins almost, and which is a little. Not for what Johnson wants to do. I'm just going to go on a limb and just say that you're wrong.
Yeah, that makes sense. And they could. I mean, they did a good job running the ball this year. And Caleb was, like I said, 60 yards short of 4,000. I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to get close to 5. Hell no. I'm saying 41, maybe 42 at tops. But that whole thing of, oh, the Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer. They got damn close this year. Granted, there's one more game, but I don't want to hear anybody bitch about, well, there's an extra game. So the fuck what? It's not the players who decide it.
If they're complaining about a 4,000-yard passer, they're focused on the wrong things.
No, and I'm not saying that they are. This is just what I think. Yeah, that's just what I think. And I know Bears fans, the best Bears team is always going to be the current one. And that's how they're always going to be. Next year is always going to be, this is the best Bears team we put on the field in a long time. And they could go 3-15. Who the hell knows? But I just think that Ben Johnson has done so much in the first year. You can only expect them to improve a little bit next season. Now, who knows? Injuries are always going to be a factor. Things will always happen. But I just think if they can stay healthy like they did this year, then they have all possibilities are on the table for them to make a deeper run next year. And I think that the 2026 Bears will probably be more tested than the 2025 Bears because this is still new to them. So they come in next year, even though they are a wild card team, maybe they'll be the 7th seed, but they could still go on the road, and that defense will travel. So that you can do all sorts of different things with that. I'm not saying they're going to be 15-2 or 16-1. I'm not going to sit here and stand on that fucking box by no means. They could have the same amount of wins or maybe a couple less, but I think they will be a more tried and tested team next year who won't have to depend on last-second plays every week.
Okay. All right, well, let's move to the Monday night game, and it's not NFL. It is the National Championship of college football, and
stupid.
I kid you not. It is the Miami Hurricanes versus the Indiana Hoosiers. In case you've been living under a rock, those are your best 2 teams in college football.
It's a rock.
Mike, wake up. Anyway, when I look at this game, it looks like that IU is at least a little bit better at just about everything. Maybe not better at pass rush. Maybe let's just say pass rush, they could at least be even Stevens, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the way Miami's played is also impressive. Now IU's just blown people out a little bit more. But Miami's at home, right? They're at home.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, I'm gonna take Miami to lose to the Hoosiers, baby. Yeah. Oh yeah. The Hoosiers are going to win the national championship.
You weren't fooling anybody, bud.
I'm wearing a damn hat.
You should have.
There's a storm brewing down there, and they're getting flooded out.
Yeah, you should have put some baby powder in your nose and done a Michael Irvin rant. Yeah, well, let's go. Get that belt out.
I want someone to bend Michael Irvin over a knee and give him his licks.
Hey, he does too.
However many points we score on them Hurricanes, give them all them licks. Yes, Fletcher will have a solid game. He will get his 3 yards. He fights for every yard. I'm impressed with Mark Fletcher. I think Carson Beck is a wiry guy. I think he might end up being a solid NFL guy. I just think that he's made of some of the right stuff. He's a bounce back kind of quarterback. He seems to be good at that. I like the receivers. Was it Malachi Tony? Mm-hmm. He's a dynamic guy. Problem is if D'Angelo Pons is guarding him, they're going to be getting at it a little bit. And I know Tony's fast, but Pons is just small,
sticky,
like him, and he's gonna be bumping him every time he comes off the line. So give me IU, man. Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
It's destiny.
Yeah.
We are on another plane of existence. And if you were gonna sit here and talk and try to be like Miami's better than IU, you don't have an argument there. That doesn't mean they can't win, but there is not a substantial argument that can be made that Miami's going to win. That doesn't mean they can't. But anyone
Yeah.
out there trying to phrase an argument that's like, well, this is why, all of those things are just total bullshit. Total nonsense. IU has done more than enough to be considered the favorite and have most people picking them to win. And that's prediction wise, that's the way it should go. And then they'll play the
Yep.
game and we'll see what happens.
Yep. Yeah, and I tend to agree. I just, man, yeah, you're right. Miami probably has a better pass rush,
Mm-hmm.
but I think IU has a better pass defense overall.
Mm-hmm.
And Miami, outside of, yeah, like you're saying, outside of Tony, they don't really have that gold star playmaker. I mean, Tony is their guy who they will depend on to make big plays, and he might still break a couple catches or runs off. Who knows? But I just think IU has been so unstoppable on offense, and if you, I rewatched IU Oregon a couple days after the game because Mendoza was just so on point with every throw. He didn't blow people away. He wasn't, 300 yards. But if you go back and you look at all the touchdown passes, where he put the ball is the only place that it could have been put in. And he has done that consistently all year long. He has such high accuracy. It is something that I don't think we've seen really since Joe Burrow in 2019.
He's getting,
And I think,
so far he's getting so many Joe Burrow comparisons when he's probably pretty far from the touchdown. You got
yeah,
60 touchdowns from Burrow, and Mendoza's in the low 40s. Why would those
yeah,
comparisons continue? It's because people's eye tests are like, my goodness, this looks exactly the same. Just the numbers
mm-hmm,
aren't as close as you would see, because Burrow went on a whole nother level that year. Just unbelievable.
mm-hmm. Just ridiculous,
Yeah.
going off everywhere. But the one thing Mendoza has that Burrow didn't was his legs, and he can make plays with his leg. Now Burrow can scramble,
He
don't
can,
get me wrong,
but too
but
slow.
Mendoza is so much faster, and he actually has rushing ability, where they will called run plays for him. Burrow wasn't that way. He could scramble if nobody was open, just fine and everything. But the just the amount of times that Mendoza has made the play that has to be made, where it's 3rd and 7 and nobody's open, so he breaks off a 9-yard run, gets those first downs, and that just takes every single time. It just takes a little bit of heart away from that defense, and it takes the crowd out of it a little bit. And it's like, what can we do to stop these guys? And it's like, all right, well, we're 3rd and 11 at on the Miami 35-yard touchdown pass, because it's a perfectly placed ball in the back corner or a back shoulder fade play. He's just putting the ball in the perfect position every single time. He's not putting it in harm's way. So I like seeing that. Carson Beck, on the other hand, he's been making good plays. I don't see these kind of throws out of him. Now he's not playing bad. Don't get me wrong, but to
Like
look back at it and just be like, yeah, they're either wide open or he throws them open.
Mm-hmm.
And the IU players, man, to the opponent's credit, they're covered. Yeah, they're covered.
They're high point,
but he puts it, yeah. Yeah, he's putting it up high enough to where Surratt or Becker can jump up and get it, which they can, or he's just putting it right out in front of him where the defense can't swat at it. I like that. I like seeing that from the quarterback more than I do just him hitting wide open guys. Every quarterback can hit a wide open receiver. Which quarterback can hit the guy who is covered, but he can throw him open? And he can put a back shoulder pass on you right at the pylon,
where only his guy can get
it. Yeah, Mendoza has been doing that all season. Mm-hmm. I will also take the Hoosiers in a 31-24 win. It's bold strategy, Cotton.
38-24.
38-24.
It'll be the closest game they've played as far as respect being paid. But IU is just, dude, there are three receivers. You've got Elijah Surratt, you got Charlie Becker, and you got Omar Cooper. Those are three of the best receivers in the entire country. Those are three of the best receivers in college football. If you were to start naming receivers, I think you would name them all three inside the top 25 to 30. Like, they're really some of the best. And like you said with Miami, like, the other guys are guys that help. They help. But, like, it's Malachi Toney is their star playmaking guy that just can get open and shifty and just create some rhythm and excitement. IU, they have two running backs. Again, you got Fletcher, but then you got Hemby and you got Black, and it's just like, the IU's deep. They're really deep. And they're like, the reason they've been scoring so many fucking points is because they're fresh and they don't all have to make the play every play. The only guy doing that every play pretty much is Mendoza, and he got the Heisman. It's like, this is the best team in college football. Again, it doesn't mean they will win. They have to show up, but they are the favorite by 7.5 for a reason. They are the best team in football. Now, they got to do it to prove it, but that is the facts. And that's this point right now, they're the best team in football.
Yeah, I think maybe that 7.5 might be a little bit high right now. I don't like it because it's a motivator for Miami to look at it and say, look at the disrespect we are still getting after the run that they've had. Beating A&M on the road, beating Ohio State, and then last week beating Ole Miss. It's like, man, they're going on one of those runs too, and I'm sure Miami fans are feeling the same way that we are. It's just like, this team feels destined to do something.
In the CFP, the Indiana Hoosiers have scored 94 points, their opponent's 25. And we're over here talking about 7.5 might be a little high. Fuck that shit.
Well, I'm just saying.
Chest, okay?
Yeah.
Come on.
I'm not saying that they can't win by more than that, but I'm just saying, going into the game, it's a national championship game. Miami is not a slouch. And if they look at Cignetti's going to have the guys ready to play. That's without question. But you got to also look at who Miami has. Mario Cristobal. He is a hell of a motivator as well. He is a damn good coach in his own right. So Miami's going to be physical. They're going to be aggressive, especially early. Now, could IU hit some big plays early to kind of knock them out? Yeah. But the same could be said from the other side as well. They do have the ability, but you just haven't seen that from them yet. You haven't seen them put teams away and just go the entire game without having any doubt whatsoever. The Miami has won, and they've beaten good teams, but they haven't really smacked them early and knocked them out of it. So IU has done that, and I think that's the only thing. My only complaint is IU hasn't had to go through an entire game with it being close. They've knocked people out early, and they've taken their soul. So they could do it again. Absolutely, they could do it again. It could be 55-20. Who cares? It could absolutely happen because they've done it consistently. But Miami also has that ability to keep it close through the entire game. So I think this will be the tightest game the IU's had in the playoffs.
I'll throw more numbers, okay? So for IU, they're 96-25 in points in the two games in the CFP. Okay, so let's go. And Miami's played 3 games, right? They've scored 65 points in 3 games. So IU has scored 30 more points than them in one less game. So there's no competition on their offense. And you could be like, well, okay, hold on. Alabama and Oregon's defenses aren't good enough. I mean, Texas A&M, Ohio State, and Ole Miss. Here's the next thing you could say. We've allowed 25 points. Miami allowed more than that just last game in one game. And we've played 2 games in the CFP. So to this kind of conversation, Miami's a 10 seed, Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this isn't to discredit them in a way of saying they don't deserve to be there. They do deserve to be there. I'm just saying the 7.5 is absolutely 100% correct. It shouldn't be less or more. It is exactly
Mm-hmm.
right. Anyone else in CFP history from before or later in life, when the 1 is playing the 10 and the 1 is blowing everyone out and the 10 is not, they're going to be a touchdown favorite. If this was the Alabama of the past, this would be a touchdown. This would be a 10.5 point favorite, honestly. If this
Mm-hmm.
was the Alabama of the past, if like this is the kind of conversation people want to say it's disrespectful. It's not. If anything, it's a little passive. They could have been
Yeah.
more aggressive with it. Indiana, they're trying to complete what could be the best college season of all time at 16-0.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if we can agree on that because the structure and extra games, there's so many great teams that went undefeated. You can only play as many games as on the schedule. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, IU, like, there's not this conversation of, well, we're disrespecting Miami. It's the number 1 blowing everyone out versus the 10. That is an automatic
Mm-hmm.
touchdown favorite. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
like
I
what
think
difference are,
you're
you know?
I think you're taking that wrong. I think you're taking it wrong. I didn't say it wasn't a good spread.
I've heard others say that was a disrespectful spread, that it was too high. Like I've heard
It's not. No.
say that wasn't
No.
the correct spread. It should be like 4.
No. I think the spread itself I think is about where it should be. But I'm talking like as someone who's pulling for IU to win, it's a little bit high as to say Miami could use that as a motivator. You know what I mean? And it doesn't take very much to motivate a team nowadays, especially one like Miami, who coming in, a lot of people said Miami doesn't deserve to be in the playoff. Well, now they're in the championship game and they've beaten some damn good teams to do it. Now, you're right. Maybe you could even take the spread up to 8 or 9 points, and I would be like, all right, it makes sense.
Statistically,
But
right?
statistically, yeah.
Vegas has got to
Yeah.
math it so they don't lose their ass, right? Like mathematically,
Yeah.
this is accurate.
Yeah, they got nerds in the back dialing and punching numbers. So I mean, it's fine. This is about where you expect it to be.
I would take the over. What would you take?
I would take the over.
You would take the over.
I would take the over just because of what my eyeballs are telling me.
Exactly.
Now I'm not saying it's a wrong number or that Vegas is stupid for doing it. I'm just saying, as somebody who's looking at it, with a little bit of a biased lens, I'm like, Miami could absolutely take this and run it. And some people are forgetting the game is in Miami. So, that could be brought into it as well. So what do they say in the spreads when you got, the home team? You automatically give the home team 3 points. So IU, no, IU in that case, IU will be a 10.5 point favorite because the game is in Miami and you're going to have Miami fans there.
Mendoza's from Florida, apparently, from Miami.
Yeah, he's from Miami. Yeah,
so
played college ball or high school ball.
Flash for them. A lot of people are estimating that we may actually outnumber Miami fans. I don't know if that'll actually happen or not. We'll see. But Indiana traveled like a fucking beasts at the Fiesta Bowl. So there's so many people becoming Indiana fans just because of the fact that we were such dog shit for so long. And it's like, wow, what a cool fucking thing this is. This is like the worst program ever, and they're amazing now. And so people are kind of grabbing that David versus Goliath kind of situation. They're like, wow, what an underdog story this is, and they kind of want to be a part of it. There's a very decent chance that Miami Gardens is going to be full of IU fans, which makes me be like, that swinging the tide a little bit, right? I mean, that advantage that you could have had is maybe not even going to be that much of an advantage. It's going to be neutral in a way that you thought it was going to be home, and it's going to be fairly neutral.
Yeah, more neutral than you would expect a hometown team being there. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, that's it for Friday. We got all our predictions in. So until next time, guys, we'll see you later.
Tell us how wrong we are.